Ale wants level 16.
Okay, we're gonna have to run ads very briefly. Oh, no, so we're going into second draft. Third draft, rather. Game 3,
yeah.
It has gone the distance. EDG, IG.
Who's Hercules in this one?
Go the distance that we're going for?
Yeah, it was. Absolutely.
Disney Kids Rise Up. It is the first pick,
Kids Rise
Nautilus, as I believe we've now had a lot of games. I think this is all 3 games of the Nautilus being picked through.
Yep.
This pick has been first pick, first ban in LPL. Not always the first pick, but just around a really high priority now.
The Shinzan would be a third time out for Leon, who has been serviceable. I don't think he's been the cleanest on the Shinzan. I have to admit, sometimes has been kind of forced to use Crescent Guard in slightly unfortunate ways, but still a very strong champion, still a very useful initiator. What is the response? Smolder's still up, and do you just early pick it?
There's Smolder and Senna. So if you see a Senna picked, I think the Smolder's an easy lock-in. Can you pick Smolder in all situations? Well, in the LPL, kinda an AD carry. I think he's only lost the 1 game as an AD carry so far, alongside 1 in top lane. Really, the question is, do you throw the gauntlet down and say Senna and accept the Smolder matchup, or do you lock in the Smolder and see if there's another answer? The Nautilus is already in.
Okay.
Are you opting into the Senna-Nautilus matchup that you've just lost?
So I don't think the Senna and the Nautilus are necessarily the problem, but I do think some more consistent threat onto the backline would be nice, because one of the big problems for EDG last game, to my mind, was the lack of coordination when going for the Smolder. We saw occasional moments where one person would catch the Smolder, but no one else was in position to capitalize. Like, Nautilus lands a hook, oh shit, the Lee Sin's got to fly a screen away to try and get in range, or the Lee Sin's got to the backside and there's no Dawning Shadow or Shockwave to follow up.
Maybe the answer is maybe the answer actually has to come from Fisher, because if you are going to shut down the Smolder, you need a concerted effort to go bot side. I would have preferred the Taliyah, I think, because the Taliyah allows you to go towards bot lane and potentially threaten him. Now the problem is here, I think you're actually very happy to lock in the Alistar again. You can even Maokai support. I think that's fine. I think that way you'd either have double tanky frontline with the Alistar and the Shinzao, or you'd have a better go button than you had in the last game, potentially a way to threaten the front line and separate out the back line.
Exactly that. Oh boy, alright, you know what? I'm going to stay quiet, Alex.
So, we have an Ahri locked in for Cryan.
I'm going to go, I'll be right back.
I have about 1.5 million points on this champion. I've been playing this champion for now over 10 years. She's changed a lot in that time, and she's changed a lot recently. Q buffs on Ahri mean that, what were we just saying? Hey Fisher, maybe you could push out mid and then roam towards bot lane. Ahri is the best mid lane champion at doing that right now, because she gets to get early priority very easily, and then you can kind of slide into a 1 to 2 item spike where you can be the early game threat, and then someone like the Smolder can take over late game.
Quick question as well. I know you mentioned to me you're not a massive fan of D-mats on Ahri at the minute with the change that come on through. Do you still want to run those into the Azir? Because I know he's obviously someone who's very good at getting priority naturally anyway.
You should always get a priority versus Azir. What I prefer is actually stuff that helps you fight the Azir so he can't be on the wave as much. Because you had now a 5% AP ratio buff on Q on both ways, it means that you kill the waves without having D-mats. Now, the reason why people are really taking dematerializers on Ahri is because you get triple tonic and people like that. I just prefer going towards something like Mana Flow and Scorch, so you can be really nasty in early lane, not even have to stop off for a Lost Chapter. You can go towards a Lichbane first as well, which is very high damage. We have typically been seeing Malignus into Leandries though, but we'll talk a lot more about the Ahri in the game. We'll finish off the rest of the draft then. We'll get back to that.
The moment's been covered. I thought it would be a quick response and note there was an in-depth answer.
There is always going to have that. Now, the question is, what are you going to do in regards to Ala on frontline? You've locked in the Cassante again, but with the Poppy band, do you have another frontline answer for Ala? Or is he going to go back onto the Jax? Historically, fantastic champion for Alan. Honestly, one of the best champions of any player in the LPL last year. What a magnificent pick. But I don't think it works for current EDG. They do lock into Viego, which worked for Monkey before, but I'm worried about Ala's role within the team.
At least this time you're not into the Kennen. At least this time you can build a little bit more aggressively and not feel like that might have been a mistake. I think Ala did struggle as the game rolled on to utilize the advantage he got on early, just because he was so squishy. This time around, it feels like with the Viego there as well, alongside the Nautilus, a few more dive buddies, you've got solid DPS in the backline, and if Smolder perhaps is left alive a little bit too long, you have got multiple ways to get resets to keep bouncing through to try and get a hold of that little dragon who could.
Very hard to get a hold of them though on the Alistairs there, of course, and the Shinzao, because as much as we keep saying this, we will keep talking about this. It is just the fact that that double front line is just really hard to get through.
If you steal the bodies, that's just saying Viego gets to steal those diving abilities himself.
Yeah, potentially so. But how do you do that when you've got the Crescent Guard and the Brain Break? Well, it's a very hard composition for Viego to play into. LPL has loved playing towards the Viego for the resets. Has loved that. But the problem is that how do you do that when the first targets you want to be hitting are so difficult to play around?
Eyes on the game. Invictus Gaming recover from a Game 1 loss of ignominy there. They are supposed to be the better team. They are nicknamed the Giant Slayers. They've been performing exceptionally well against some of those top table teams, but have slipped up against weaker opposition on paper. Not a flawless team by any regards in that game.
Hang on a second. That's the old Ari splash art. No, that is such a weird card. When Ari first had her splash art, like, redid, they've changed it again afterwards. The splash art they had on that screen there was the initial version, which was then changed after because it looked weird. Only I would know that. Look at that.
Did she have 6 ears rather than 4?
No, shut up. The ears and the eyes were just very different. Anyway, like, seriously, you can go check the comparison. That is such a weird cut. That is a different Ari splash art. I'm telling you.
You know what? I believe you. Does that help?
Maybe a little. And it's okay on the big screen. Why was it weird on the other screen? They have 2 different Ari splash shots. That's the normal one. There was a different... Trust me, I'm not going insane.
Do you need a moment?
I needed a moment to go back and see what the hell was on the screen there.
What? Go back and watch the VOD. We'll find out. He's going to do that now, guys. He'll look after the stream to go find out whether the Ari cut, the Ari...
splash shot.
No, I know, but it's that there's a name for the kind of...
Slice.
Like, slice, that's the term. Thank you very much. It was a weird version or not. There's Monkey and Vampire looking for the early invade. Of course, Nautilus and Viego pretty good at the level 1. Game 1, part of what made Leon's life so difficult was the early invade onto the Raptors. YSKM, though, this time around, alongside Wink, around and about to try and defend this. IG a little bit more aware of EDG's level 1 wiles.
Not going to happen just now, but of course jungle information, very important. So EDG, they walk top side, immediately go bot side. Problem, Arn might have to flash her. Does he have to start E?
What?
He just immediately walks away. He pops the ghost and walks away. Doesn't even need to start E. No. Giga Chad Arn doesn't even flash.
Unbelievable. EDG, he was there, guys. Just hook.
Now we've got to start to fight over this blue buff. They had information to see that IG were not starting top side. They got bot side instead, and it is a 4v4 for the series in bot side.
Roll up, get your tickets out for the biggest rumble you'll find on the blue side today. Level 1 shenanigans, Bahoy. Blue buff pulled away, will likely reset. Who does that favor? We just don't know yet. Nautilus waiting to pull the hook. You use that and it goes wrong, and things get difficult. Blue buff started again by EDG. IG's still here, still wanting to contest.
So, problem is, if you clump up, they're potentially winking look for a flash Q!
Ooh, gets the flash Q, Leon gets the blast cone over and gets into the fight regardless. Ignite down onto Vampire. Summon is blown across the board. Monkey loses the flash. The Snake, the Ghost. On the other side, though, it's Wink who's burned both his summoners as well. Hook goes wide as it's pulled onto the wall because of a good flash. Arm flashing forward to himself. Oh no, Smolder with first blood. Say it ain't so!
Arn absolutely totals the enemy team in terms of DPS. You know what's even worse for this? Arn's going to walk up and get a huge amount of stacks for level 1 because he's been hitting champions for like a minute solid with his Q coming off a cooldown. It's only the 1 level in it, but still Arn in such a great position for the early game.
Okay, I am waiting to see how many stacks his Smolder has. It's 2 minutes 40. Someone hover over it.
We'll see that. Sadly, Ari has taken the dematerializers. I think that's a mistake. I think there are better secondary routes to go towards, but we'll track to see how Crion's build and his play kind of makes up for what can sometimes be a bit of an early deficit, because Ari's early laning phase in an early game is typically so important. Worth noting, Crion started with the Q level 1, as opposed to the W, which is much easier to proc the electrocute right at the start of the game. Not about mid laners right now, though. We have plays going to one spot side. There's no summoners here. Leon has flash, and he has level 3. This is potentially disastrous for EDG.
No, there's just nowhere to go. Wink goes one way, Leon the other. Damned if you do, damned if you don't. The way is shut. It was made by IG, and IG keep it. Bot lane punished for the temerity to walk through that particular mountain passage.
Oh my god, 2-0-1 on Arn before 4 minutes in the game. He walked away with a huge amount of gold from game 2. A huge amount of damage from game 2. They get to reset. He has a 1,200 gold back almost 4 minutes into the game. That is absurd. He almost gets to get himself... Well, he'll have a full Sheen at this point as well. This Smolder... This ain't no small Drakeling. This thing is a full-bred dragon already.
That is not what you want to see. Maybe let sleeping dragons lie. Hey guys, that's not great. Don't just throw succulent bot laners in front of his face and expect him to stay asleep.
This is awful news for EDG. Their early game, last game, was poor because of Monkey's individual mistakes. Now it feels like after the level 1 goes so poorly, it's not getting any better after this point too. So, EDG, what do you do about this? What happens? Do you need to get these solo lane advantages? Hard to get that against an Ahri, who sadly hasn't gone for the Dark Seal in first back. That's one of the most important things about Ahri builds. It's how you snowball. So, Cryan kind of failing on the runes, failing on the first back right now in regards to getting the most out of this champion. Potentially Fisher can hold fast there and get more value out of that Azir.
Exactly that. Needs to play this one perhaps a bit more aggressively. You know, does need to get value out of that, as you were saying, and it is Fisher who has got that shove in early, which is nice to see. Ale get the shove against WiseKM, but just get hit by a solid pace pathmaker into the... Yeah, this could get a bit spicy, as I was about to talk about that 1v1, but it's never going to be 1v1. Leon just finds a way in here.
Monkey's going topside, but he doesn't have flash. He's on grubs. Ala is dead. He is dead here now because you're going to have the flash follow. Ala doesn't have Counter-Strike. It's only at the first rank of it. Yeah. It's going to die even if he flashed out. I don't think it gets enough, and indeed it doesn't. It's going to be grub started by Monkey, but Leon has had the run of this early game. It feels like EDG, they are just not tracking where enemy members are going well enough. They can't really because of how badly the level 1 went.
Exactly. It's been that problem again. The EDG have taken a flip and it's gone wrong. Game 2, it was Monkey going for the invades that went wrong. Game 3, it's the early invade that goes a bit wrong. But remember, Leon still has the flash. Needs to be a bit where the Alo's back in the river.
So we've got Cryan and Wink up in this mid lane. Arn's roamed up too to stop Fisher from interfering with that play too early. So it is going to be 2 grubs to the side of IG just when Monkey started them. Really is everything going against them. Arn even gets to go back towards the spot lane. Pops the Ghost to roam even quicker as well. So yes, there is going to be a wave crash in, but considering that you denied potentially a very powerful topside play from EDG, I'm going to call Worth there for Arn.
They will make some value out of it. It's IG with the best early game they've had all series in a lot of ways. I think the game 2 was a bit of a weird one that wasn't really on their own playmaking. This one, they are the ones that play off really well off the early game.
Quick hit on something that Cryan just did. He's throwing all the dematerializers onto the backline. Typically, that is the break point you're looking for Ahri in terms of how quickly can you clear those backline minions. Thing is, you kill the ranged minions so quickly right now that you don't necessarily need to throw all of them there. Sometimes it can be better to throw them actually onto cannon minions to match priority with Azir, who's better at killing them, or even onto the melees to have more consistent play potential. Now, he's not going to be in lane for any kind of plays towards the spot side, but neither mid lane is particularly roaming. Monkey is down towards the spot side, but not spotted yet. Leon has flash, can potentially force another play.
It's going to be this unknown 3v3. It is the unknown. No mirrors to find yourself emerging from behind because they're all in the bushes.
I have no idea. Is that
This is to do with the Glasgow Willy Wonka experience.
Oh!
Where there's that thing that walks out behind the mirror and goes, oh,
right.
It's the unknown.
Oh, I thought you were I was like, that's not how the unknown Pokemon work.
No,
what?
I
was so surprised for a second. Man, you know they're making, apparently someone's already written a script for a horror movie about that experience.
Excellent.
Because apparently every cultural random meme which pops up must be made into a horror movie at this point.
I'm kind of down for that. It's like Five Nights at Freddy's, but with a fake Willy...
Oh no, not Freddy Five Bears. Say it ain't so.
Oh no, Willy Wonka and the unknown who comes. It's just this dude in a silver mask and a black cloak coming out from behind a mirror and like walking really jerkily.
The performance of a generation, honestly.
I feel really bad for the actors. They were thrown into the worst kind of scenario.
It was sure something. Getting a replay of something which happened here. What happened to him? So both junglers walked up. Oh, he sweeps out that brush. He sweeps out that brush so he knew that there wasn't a ward. Now there is a ward. So just a bit of a observer saying, hey, it is there now, but IG don't know about it.
Of course, the bot lane weren't the ones that put it. So exactly, it should be completely off vision, an unknown quantity, and they know there's a ward there themselves, thanks to a swift ping of the T key. They'll be able to instead maybe look at an early dragon here.
Worth noting as well, 44 stacks on the Smoldet, going up pretty nicely there for this point in the game. Senna Nautilus, they're still getting the push in, they're still potentially threatening as well. You can see that Nautilus hasn't been denied farm. Problem is, it's just the value on who's getting that farm. Smolder is just so valuable with stacks, and with the early gold getting close to a very early Essence Reaver, and then of course an early Shojin too. These stacks, we saw them at about 23 to 24 minutes last time. We're probably getting closer towards like the 22 to 21 minute spike with the amount of extra cooldown reduction picked up early and the amount of extra farm and access to champions being hit that Arna's had.
Exactly. You get that initial upgrade, the Q upgrade first. Early means you just get more stacks, more fast. That rate of acceleration on stacks is really, really difficult to manage. Leon is here, level 6 to his name.
Both junglers down here. Again, neither mid lane are really able to get these early roams off. It's not really been about mid jungle 2v2 or mid laners roaming about. Of course, it can't really be when you've got these two hyper scaling champions on the bot side. You want to make sure that the the bot lane situation is in your favor. EDG, they have lost vision on bot side. The question now really is, can they start to try and push IG back a little?
They just don't know that Monkey's here. Might be able to find him as Leon is coming down as well. How aggressively do they want to play this? They don't know he's there. They found it out! It's a double pulverize out of nowhere because the Snake taxied him onto the Viego, who can't get a hold of Arn. The Crescent Guard comes on through. Smolder screams for his mother, and Mum was not pleased and gets a kill. The Snake burns both summoners. They get another kill. 3-0-1 at Arn. EDG. Oh dear.
My mom works at the LPL and she'll stop you getting playoffs. As EDG, if they lose this game, to bring it back to the bigger picture, they lose this series, they're pretty much out of playoffs. I don't know whether there's some slim scenario, but I don't think I've ever seen a 7-win player team get through to the playoffs. Snake loses both of his summoners. Of course, it was an awkward moment where Monkey is caught in the combo as well. Kind of a lucky find there from Wink. Even trying to body block out, Vampire has to flash out.
This dragon is really, truly online. Essence Reaver complete at 10 minutes, moving their way towards a second. I've got the free-ass boots. It's already started the stacking we've talked about. Last game, it was difficult to deal with the Smolder, and the Smolder didn't even get fed early. This time, the Smolder's ahead of the curve, and yes, the solo laners from EDG have been laning well. They're both up about 20 CS individually. That was keeping the gold close. It is only 1,000 apart. The problem is, where is the gold? It's all on Smolder. That is a veritable horde, and we all know what dragons do with those.
They do. They don't let go of them easily. Cryan has got himself a Dark Seal now, and it's before he's been involved in too many big fights. Of course, the last one was in level 1, so it's still on an okay timing. See if now he can start snowballing with the rest of his team. The gold lead is slight, but there. IG looking potentially now to go towards their first dragon. Wisecam getting a good trade. He has All Out still available to him.
Yeah, goes for the All Out. Ala in a dangerous position. We'll throw down the Grandmaster's Might, but there's still a Q3 available. Strike and you're out!
YSKM with the solo kill against Ala's Jax. You should definitely know him by now. It's not going to be a steal. Monkey ults away.
The Snake so low. Remember, there's just no summoners left. Mum comes carpet bombing across the bot lane of EDG. Monkey now in retreat. Vampire gets a good ultimate to try and disengage, but it's just not enough. The Dawning Shadow is there, but it's just a 21 gun salute.
And Cryan, he doesn't get himself the kills, but the rest of his team will get the dragon and get themselves a bit more gold in pocket as well. EDG, this early game, we had some hope for them, but EDG, it has felt like this year, so far, there has been no hope for this team.
He's not on the roster.
He's not on the roster. Well, half their bloody starting team isn't on the roster. So many changes. I believe this is the 5th individual roster that we've seen out of them. They've had so many back and forths with it. Maybe even 6 altogether. And EDG, on individual levels, have started to fall apart. Alice Jax, he has actually suffered against the Cassante multiple times this year. First series that he played was against Breathe's Cassante, and it really got torn apart. And while he's not there, neither top lane are really influencing this. Monkey just tries to get a steal. Doesn't manage to find a good charm onto the stake. Means that he has to really back off. And sadly for him, he can't find anything with that.
The game is looking pretty much doomed, and that's in spite of the fact that, let's be real, the solo laners have been looking okay for EDG individually. They've not been looking at them. They've been up that CS, they've gotten the items, it was looking okay, and then there's a solo kill top. There's a dragon fight that goes wrong. It is 7 kills to 0. Yes, the gold's only 1,000 apart, but we've spoken about it already. It's where the gold is. It's what it's doing this game. You've got a Smolder. You are always going to be a real threat as the game rolls round to mid and late.
Just want to check in quickly with that top lane matchup again, as Billy lets us know that it's unhappy. Slightly buffers. Good CS lead at least for Ala. I just don't know when it's going to be relevant, right?
Yeah.
Because you need to be getting into these fights now. Because EDG need you now because they're losing on the bot side of the map. 3-0-2 for Arn is already too much gold. You've got a mid jungle that will be outvaluing because it feels like they will be securing the kill first. And it's very hard to lock down a kill onto Ahri. Very hard to lock down a kill onto Xin Sao, Cassante and Smolder, and how do you on the Alistair? It's very hard to reach that Smolder, and Ala might even just die again here.
Wind becomes lightning, audacious charge, the Crescent Strike is good though! Ala wins the 1v2! Who needs a 1v1 when we can do this? Will finally die, but the shots on delay and put him down so low, and Monkey has ult and so much to work with. It's heartbreak for IG at the top side, and the Ruined King claims a soul.
Oh, misplay from You Should Know Me and Lien. They don't get that clean kill as Lien misses the W flash, so Ala gets something back, even when we were just kind of criticizing him for the 1v1 and some of how he's played games on non-tank champions. At least he picks up the pieces there.
And actually, that's pretty critical. That's double shutdowns going. One to the Jax, one to the Viego. If you want to be able to try and get something, that's a good
teleport in from YSKM.
It is exactly that. You're right. Vampire now flashing it away, but is it going to be enough? It's a decent Emperor's Divide, but it really doesn't amount to all that much, and the Vampire falls, stake through the heart once more.
EDG, they just can't string together multiple plays in a row. They get one good play on top side and immediately just get blasted. Mid lane, no, not really going to work there with the Snake, having tier 2 boots and Ghost already. When you look, actually one of the big things when you're playing as Ahri is that when you're playing around the edge of your charm range, you look at the movement speed which the enemy champion has as well. So you've got that kind of tier 2 boots and the Ghost running, actually decreases your active range by quite a lot. The Snake is safe there.
He's also got the Rectrix for even more move speed.
Yeah,
move speed galore.
Yeah, for sure. It definitely helps there. And with Fleet Footwork, when that's going as well, it can be quite hard to get those max range charms as he did earlier into the game, just around that dragon fight as well. This is the 1v2 on top side. Ala doesn't even have second level of his ultimate just yet, but look at this. W flash misses. If that hits, much different scenario. Counter-Strike comes up. Easy as you like. Ala outplays and feeds off of the mistake of Lien.
And the Monkey turns up. He was in position this time around. They get a couple for it. Looking in the picture-in-picture, though. And it looks like Arlo's going to have to leave that. Only seen the bot side is crying. Interrupts the leap strike with a well-timed charm, much to Nymaera's approval. Herald, though, is being taxied towards a tier 2. Monkey towards his bot side, though. Crying lands another charm. Flash away from the stun. The last embrace doesn't land. The Heartbreaker still coming on through. Will finally go down, but Wink and Arna here, and the Snake needs to run away or he will get chopped off. The head of the organization going down. And we've all said what happens when that falls down.
Oh man, and even with all of this happening, another tower shot comes through, so Cryan even gets a kill, gives him back those 2 Dark Steel stacks he would have lost just beforehand, so Cryan walks out very lucky, gets a really good cancel on the first Counter-Strike, Leap Strike, and then manages to flash out of the second. Cryan, even though it was a good angle for EDG to attack while his ultimate was down, will just about get value out of that one. Now Monkey's caught potentially.
Headbutt, flap, flap, flap. Monkey has got flash, but no ultimate. Will now burn the flash. Smolder summons the ultimate. Wink's got the ultimate running himself. The Dawning Shadow comes on through to dissuade any further action.
Jack's even teleporting to the bot lane out of turret to make sure that there is no follow-up play for IG. Dragon is up. It would be second Dragon for IG. It's been slow on the Dragon stacking in terms of the big objectives. Much faster in regards to Arn, of course. Talked about that to death
Different
and
kind
back.
of Dragon stacking.
Different kind indeed. As IG, much better early game from them on the whole.
It's been them making more of the proactive plays, and successfully so. That towards the Dragon we once again go. But it's EDG who are actually in position for this one, despite Monkey being attacked. But honestly, they burned quite a lot to make the play happen, so that is possibly the most important win they've got in a little while. They've also got 4 grubs as well to prevent A, the 5 from IG, and B, to get something back to themselves. So IG, despite the kills going against them, have done okay in some of those neutral points.
I mean, that neutral is basically because IG hadn't gone back and spent a lot of their gold. You can see that Ala, before YSKM returned to base, was basically on parity with items, and then you think, well, okay, maybe let's not take this without all of our combat stats there. The gold lead isn't that huge yet, and especially in terms of those combat stats on paper, and plus also on the side of IG, you don't have to fight right now. You can just say, well, this will be okay in regards to scaling up a little later. Let's not give as many free fights over as possible. Arn and Wink made their way down towards the spot side, and sadly, Ala dies to the last turret shot as it ends up getting way out of control as it heats up. Arn and Wink chase down the Snake, and it is a pretty huge problem when you've got this Smolder picking up early game kills. Said that before. It's just not continuing to stop, and it feels like this will be another Arn show.
Fortunately for the Snake, he is the lesser reptile this time around, because it's a dragon he's going up against. That lizard a little bit more scary. Eyes now towards this bot side jungle as IG move in force. Fisher needs to be really afraid here. He's got nowhere to go. Oh, Fisher, he's dead to rights. Goes over the wall and just finds 3 people. It's a good flash, but look where Arn is. Smolder summons his mum again. The carpet bomb comes on through. The smell of napalm in the morning doing a lot of work for Arn.
I mean, there's only so much you can do in a 1v4. He's in the wrong position. He didn't have enough information on the bot side of the map. There is no blue ward into the enemy jungle. And even though, you know, Fisher manages to get back over the wall, it's just too far up. And now when you've got Leanne and Cryan able to go towards this bot turret, they'll be able to take this one, take themselves another turret, and now you've got potentially a crossmap. But it's so much harder to drive YSKM. He can go and clear up the next wave as well. IG, they're not even that under much threat from a crossmap.
And this is the power of vision control. Once again, EDG have had these problems where players get caught out in side lanes, in part because once they lose vision control, it's so hard for them to figure out where the hell anybody is on the map.
IG, they remain in the bot side. Are they going to get a full bot lane in a turret? They keep 2 people there, both stacking up that grub damage onto the towers. Even with the 2 stacks, it really helps them with that. And suddenly, it is going to be so hard to find any position to farm safely in that bot lane now. You need to spend a lot of time to get wards into that bot lane jungle. And that's going to be time which you would rather be spending trying to shut down Arn, trying to force another big play before IG reach that real critical mass. This is just a delaying of the inevitable, it feels like, where EDG can't really find any value before this Smolder comes online.
Trying to keep our eyes on the Smolder stacks. Not seen them in a little while, but you can see from the fact that the Q obviously has been upgraded, so that's looking like he's got to be close to 225 stack. He's got the second item, and he's on his way to a third, honestly, with the Zeal in as well.
And I am very happy because one thing which I talk about very continually is how Ahri is the best Magi stacker in the game. Because she has the ability to force very hard for the first kill, get herself that reset, and then get out safely. Wink's probably going to explode the ult here, has flash, might start a fight altogether, see if Lian wants to come down.
Still plays out. Wink always tanky. You think he has teleports now coming on through as Smolder once again throws down the Eagle
Double
strike.
teleports.
Diving into not the hell, but Rivers. Crying goes for the charm, goes wide, but the Snake still in a difficult position because he had to backstep towards the river. Gets out alive, but the Ghost is popped.
Crying, misjudging the movement speed from the Snake again. You needed a second dash to force them against the wall. There was no flash. That should have been a free charm, actually. Crying, kind of a swing and a miss on that play mechanically. Even though I like the itemization of the Magi's, I've always been a big, I've been probably the main force of buying the book. In fact, actually, I've got an emote in this channel, which is buy the book.
Yeah,
which
exactly.
is, because it is so important on this champion. Even with the 3 stacks, if you get one good fight, it can be a really big difference from Crying in terms of being able to get up in terms of that kill pressure. Watch how he plays out the next couple of fights to see if he can finally land one of those crucial skill shots onto the Snake in the way that he's failed so far.
Right then. Eyes now instead must turn towards what could be another dragon fight. 40 odd seconds until that one comes through, and I think both teams will be kind of ready and raring to go. The important thing though is there are 2 items on Crying and Arn, not really on the other side. Black Cleaver did just complete Florala, so that's good news for him. You've got the Bloodsong and the Ghost Blade in for Senna, so that's pseudo 2 items there.
The Black Cleaver is going to help pick up some damage from the Snake. Of course, with the Snake, you kind of want to go towards lethality because it helps you healing with your Q. You actually have lethality scalings. Does mean, though, that you can really suck at killing tanks very early into the game. You've got Frozen Heart, Nice One Gauntlet. Even the Locket on Alistair makes things a little bit harder to cut through. So having that Black Cleaver is basically Alistair saying, well, someone's got to help out Monkey and the Snake do damage.
See, there's some little bit of statistical precognition there. 55% chance for IG to win the game. Okay, 56% chance, so a solid win chance. A Wink though, flashed on, hooked up, does have the ult pop. I don't think it's going to save him. Top lane turret falls as well. Wink goes down, kill and turret. They'll lose only a dragon, and it's only the second dragon for IG. Big winner, they can turn to Baron.
This is the thing, right? Yeah, Baron's up and available. Arn's going to walk over, use the flap to get closer towards it. He has an ult to start the fight from range, but IG are not in great position to fight this right now, especially with Crying without ult. They don't have a lot of their tools.
And Lian, I think it's just going to be too late. This Baron is gone. That was a huge moment from EDG. Smolder once again summons in the Eagle Strike. Vampire down low. The execute will come through from Smolder. But we saw this in game 1. Can EDG actually manage to find a retreat? That was the hard part of the last one. They are managing to get out. They get 4 members back to base. And they can play from here.
IG's macro around Baron has actually been quite dreadful this series, and it has allowed EDG to get advantages in multiple games now. IG will take a mid lane out of turret, but the fact that EDG get a Baron against the run of play and start to even up that gold is hugely difficult. Al's even taking an extended 1v1. He can't stay too long, though. He might have overstayed here.
I think his base must have been interrupted. Everyone's coming. There's no teleport on Fisher. He can't recall. That is just a dead Jax. Ice Hockey gets melted on down. Oh, not a bad stun, but can't quite get far enough away. The flash doesn't get him over the wall.
It doesn't. So that's one of the really important Baron buffs gone, because that's the one you want to use in a side lane. That's the one that could have changed this matchup in regards to being able to get that map pressure. So Arla dying, that's a big mistake, and it feels like this year Arla as a frontliner has been exceptional. As an individual split pusher and duelist, I think that he's really fallen off from last year, and we're starting to see some of the cracks that even here. He has that individual advantage. He had those 2 items very early into the game and had a great CS lead, but he's not really being able to leverage it because it feels like he doesn't really understand what's happening on the map to give him space to duel.
Exactly. Now, we must turn towards mid lane because that's where everybody appears to be hanging around for now. On steps forward, it's 3 items and that execute threshold hit. He is a really deadly dragon.
Cryan, of course, picked up 2 assists. He's towards 7 stacks on that item now of the Magi's. Once he gets to 10% extra bonus move speed. Really nice when you're trying to chase down some of these things. Wink going in, and here comes the fight.
Trying to make something happen to charge lands, and that means Fisher running away, not quite burned down. Towards the execute, the Q. Splash, not quite there with the Super Scorcher Bresh. And then managed to back away Monkey, having to retreat as well. But despite getting the Baron, they are the ones that are forced back. They've actually lost money on the Baron power play. So if I teleport behind her, they want this fight.
Okay, Ala doesn't have flash, but Cryan doesn't have flash, or Ala has some great targets to hit here. Wink forces him out, though.
And that's a massive counter-strike. Oh, needs to stay away. Is still safe. Is still free-firing. A Chew and Super Scorcher Breath galore. And once again, Smolder just wins team fights.
You can't give over Smolder in the LPL, or AD carries will tear you to shreds with it. It's another fight where Arled would wish he was a frontliner. If he had the Cassante, if he had the Poppy, maybe things are different. You can stave off that damage just a little bit more, but it's not the case, and EDG fall by the wayside.
How is it that every year there's a new AD carry that comes out that just runs the game? Zeri last year.
We had Aphelios and Senna, then we had Samira, and then we had Zeri, then Smolder. It just keeps happening.
This champion, man, it is so good at the competitive level where you can pretty much guarantee getting to certain levels of stacks. It's a nice idea. It's a good teleport flank. It just doesn't make a difference.
No, it doesn't, and you can see Ala really forced out by Wink, and once he gets into the middle of the fight, great stun and great combo, but then he just gets burned down. This is not tanky. This is not a Jax which can stick around long into the fight. He gets about 5 seconds of uptime with DPS, and that's about it, and immediately dies to the burn afterwards as soon as he gets brought down as that too. Fisher gets a good amount of damage, but he's not tanky. This isn't a tank Azir, and I don't think it would make a difference if it was.
And that was the first time Arn took damage that fight, basically. He avoids the counter-strike, avoids the Dawning Shadow.
Dawning Shadow?
Yeah, we're all from Brooklyn. I'll avoid that one as we go on.
Quick point of order as well. It is going to be the Horizon Focus coming in third from the Ahri. Now has over that 10 stacks on the Magi, so has the extra movement speed bonus and the extra stuff coming up. He's got that ability to go forward and lands the charm.
Afterwards, Monkey tries to escape, but it's well read by Cryan. And it is all over, but for the weeping. You feel like charm goes wide, mid lane turret falls down, the fight continues, Vampire dead again, and Smolder continues to spread his wings, flash forward for a sneeze on the snake, and there's just nothing left to be done. It is a swift breeze that brings him down, another Super Scorcher Breath. The mid lane turret falls, and EDG, they're just out of options.
What a year Arn has had. What a series Arn has had. 12-0-4 in this game. It's going to be another game topping the DPS charts, almost certainly. And EDG, despite a solid game 1, they will be falling to 2-9. Goodbye, EDG. Playoffs are gone.
And Tofo strikes land once more to claim a final kill, to claim the final ace, and EDG's playoff streams, they are ashes. It was a faint hope to begin with, but IG, well, they just set them all ablaze, don't you? Smolder raises their hopes, and instead it is Invictus Gaming that take themselves another series win and move to 7-3.
And we come back to ourselves here as we say goodbye to EDG from playoffs as they reach that 9-loss mark, and IG, I'm still worried about them. This is not a team which is looking particularly consistent, and it does kind of feel like they had to fight their way through a team which didn't really feel like they were turning up in all cylinders as well. I think if Arla had himself frontline champions for all of this series, we might be having a different conversation.